And what I have been always saying about this finance bill is very simple. At this stage, anybody who campaigns for it is a public enemy. Anybody who does not decampaign it is a public enemy. Anybody who will vote for it is a public enemy. Anybody who will abstain and refuse to vote is a public enemy. Anybody who on the day of voting, if by bad luck it passes, anybody we shall see smiling in that parliament and it passed is a public enemy. Anybody who will refuse to mourn and be unhappy because it has passed is a public enemy. And if we decide that we as Wananchi will go on the streets because it has passed and they don't join us, those members of parliament will be public enemies. So we are watching you. Don't think that by abstaining you have run away from this. We are watching. Even the refusing to decampaign it itself is bad enough because Wananchi don't want it.
Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. That soundbite will forever haunt William Samoei Ruto to the grave. That is, if at all he's got some conscience left in him, because from where I sit, I don't think that William Ruto has got any conscience. William Ruto got to power and had promised Kenyans that he was not going to increase taxes on poor Kenyans. He even followed it up with the biblical explanation, like you have seen there. Many people thought that for the very first time since independence, we have a president who will look into the affairs of the common man. But William Ruto is now a shadow of his former self. And the Finance Bill 2024 has made him, together with all the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament who are supporting it, they are now a common enemy to the people of Kenya. Yesterday, Silvanus Osoro was telling us something. Silvanus was saying that he has received over 3,000 messages from Kenyans. 50% of the messages are very vulgar and insultive, and he was saying they contain weird demands, calling them MPs. Others telling him that they must vote as Wananchi demand, because the truth is members of parliament are there to represent Kenyans, because we cannot all in our millions of numbers go to parliament to represent ourselves. That is why we elect people to go and speak on our behalf. And people have sent messages. Very many members of parliament are now saying that someone must have leaked their numbers to the public, and they got messages warning them that we are your employers. You are being paid heavily with our hard-earned cash. And so this time round, you must do what we want. We sent them there. If you want to know that things are boiling, you remember this Kenyan who disrupted Njuguna Ndung'u's photo session when he wanted to display, that finance bill there, and he was arrested. So today he was in court to explain exactly why he behaved that way. And he did not mince words. In fact, at some point, he was arguing with the judge. Sometimes judges call that court their court. They will tell you, don't argue with me in my court. And that can even anger them to give you some very hard sentence. So listen to this very wise Kenyan.
Poor people are suffering, nobody cares. So I don't know what's the role of the government. I don't know. I want to know today, what's the role of the government? I think we have failed our people. The government has failed, everybody has failed. We have also failed ourselves. I don't know, my concerns will not allow me to get excited. And at any time, at any moment. I don't know whether this is going to come up anywhere, but we must have this debate. We must have this conversation. We cannot continue living in fear. I see a lot of fear in this country, a lot of fear in the courts. Just yesterday, we saw a magistrate who was shot by a police officer. I want to speak, my dear friends. I want to speak because when you try to tell me to keep silent, my heart is burning. It's burning because of this country. Because for 60 years, we have been living like we are not human beings, like we are half human beings. We are considered like children of a lesser God. Now, this cannot continue. It cannot continue in any way. We are ruled by a minority that does not care for the interests of the majority. We are victims of lies and failed promises, deferred hopes and blasted dreams for 60 years. I don't know what will happen. I don't know whether you're going to sentence me. I'm ready to be sentenced for 100 years. But I'm going to keep speaking the truth until the day I leave this world. We cannot continue living like this. My dear friends, we must resist. Resistance is the only way for this country.
But with all this drama that has surrounded the Finance Bill 2024, you can take it to the nearest bank that William Ruto is not going to blink. And this is because whatever William Ruto is trying to implement were things that he signed long before he became the president of the Republic of Kenya. He signed a deal. And William Ruto is implementing the dictates of the Bretton Woods institution. The IMF and the World Bank, they give William Ruto loans and it must come with some conditions. Like right now in that bill, I understand that the finance minister was proposing that we stop employing people in government except in areas that are very sensitive like security, health and education. And this is all in the name of reducing wage bill. The Bretton Woods institutions are very much concerned about wage bill. They are saying that there's a lot of corruption in the country. There is double payment of salaries, and they want the president to ensure that they reduce this. We will soon witness retrenchment. There are people who will be retrenched. I only fear that they are going to target the non-shareholders. So William Ruto is not going to backtrack, and is going to intimidate members of parliament. He's going to bribe them. But then I have seen Kenyans discussing how they can stop this. And I wanted to let you know that the Constitution has given us a way of punishing members of parliament who do not go by what we want. In Article 97 and 98 of the Kenyan Constitution, it stipulates how Kenyans can punish members of parliament who do not adhere to what they want. And I just want to read to you. Recall clause, on the right to recall. And it says, the electorate under Articles 97 and 98 have the right to recall the member of parliament representing their constituency before the end of the term of the relevant house of parliament. Now, if you read further, it tells you that when a member of parliament violates Chapter 6. Chapter 6 basically deals with the integrity. So if a member of parliament violates the provisions of Chapter 6, he can easily be recalled. If the member of parliament, or if a member of parliament has been proven to have squandered public money, then he can be recalled. And on the same breath, if the constituents believe that a member of parliament has betrayed them, they can easily recall him. Of course, it has to go through the full script of law, and it has to be found beyond reasonable doubt that he has betrayed them, or he has breached law or the Constitution of Kenya. So Kenyans must understand that there is a provision that allows them to recall the members of parliament. And let us follow this. We are going to watch very closely the members of parliament, apart from just threatening them, because Kenyans have done their job and they are giving them ultimatum. We will not even wait for 2027. They shall have accumulated enough wealth, enough money to bribe Kenyans. Now, Kenyans must wake up to understand that we will never take bribes if at all Kenyans want to stop this kind of shenanigans. And they have to know who voted for this. Like that very good member was saying, if you vote for it, if you don't protest, if people go to the street, you know, all those caliber of people that have been mentioned there, we must ensure that we're with them. But this recall clause for the very first time, because since the inception of the new constitution, no one has ever been recalled. But this time round, I want to see a member serving as an example. that is recalled so that we be serious about the businesses in the house, so that we don't have members of parliament who are serving the interest of the executive. Number two, apart from recalling the members of parliament, we really need to demonstrate against these Bretton Woods institutions, against IMF and its dictates, against the World Bank and its dictates, because we are in an autonomous country. We don't need to be, ruled and governed from the USA. We got independence. This new colonialism is not good for us. They elect for us leaders and they dictate the leaders. Subsidies are gone, taxes are high, GMOs are in, LGBTQ. We don't need to be ruled from the USA, and people must wake up and demonstrate against these institutions, because William Ruto has a contract with them. He has forgotten the contract between himself and Kenyans. Now he's serving the contract between himself and IMF, between himself and USA, Bill Gates and Joe Biden. And we are not going to accept this. Kenyans must rise and exercise their constitutional mandate and powers, because if you read the first chapter of the Constitution, it says, we, the people of Kenya, we have only donated powers to the president and the cabinet ministers and the members of parliament, and they should do that which we want. And this time round, William Ruto is cornered. I know he's going to use a lot of intimidation and bribery, but if Kenyans stand their ground, I know we shall overcome. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend, we shall overcome. What do you think about the Finance Bill 2024?